I am approaching the end of the introductory overviews to Germanic languages in the parallel video series that I am making, and so I wanted to do another review of German language-based language learning resources at this time. And going over my shelves, I find that I have a great many books in German, but I was happy in general, but somewhat frustrated in this respect to find that many of them are from small individual publishing houses. So it seems to be a nice thing that language publishing in that part of the world is more fertile, as it were. But in terms of giving a series overview of what you might expect if you hear a certain brand name, as it were, of language products, or what you might go out and look for, I'm going to do in this little video a sort of composite of 3 or 4 different series, because I don't have quite enough volumes to spend a whole video on any one of them. Let me begin with the Kauderwelsch series. By request, several people have asked me to say something about this series of what are really just little tourist handbooks, little phrase books of small format, 125, 150 pages. Their selling point is that they actually do teach grammar. They do give you some information about the structure of the language and the way that it works, and the phrases, the systematic or thematic phrases are built around that. So these are little teaching manuals, actually, and as you've seen if you have followed my whole series, unfortunately many larger name, what used to be formerly full language learning books, are being reduced to phrase books. So these are a handy little thing that you might have just in that respect. But to me, their bigger selling point is, well, that they are available for upwards of 150 different languages. I don't think there's any other resource available for anything like that number from a single publisher or place. And on the one respect, they have a number of quite exotic languages, well, like Madagascar, which you're going to be very hard-pressed to find a textbook for or any other kind of guide for. If you do find one for some exotic languages, sometimes you just get a very academic book that has no audio, and this can supplement that, or sometimes there's nothing else at all available, and this series can give you at least an introduction, a taste of what a quite exotic language can sound like. But beyond that, I think that their interesting, strong selling point would be that if you're interested in dialectology, well, particularly for German, they have books for Bavarian dialect and Swiss German dialect and Luxembourgish dialect and lots of other dialects of German. They also have different slang books for almost all the different regions of the English-speaking world, and for Spanish, say, they have a different guide for each country in South America, so they give you the specific regional vocabulary for that. So if you're interested in dialectology, this might be a good series to turn to get a good little sampling of a language. But for more serious learning and study, let's go to the firm of Huber, Max Huber Verlag, and they had a series in the 1970s and 80s, für Sie, for you, language name for you, and this series is like the Langenscheid's books that I reviewed in the previous video, in that these books are, like the Langenscheid books, these are straightforward grammar translation methods that would parallel the colloquial or teach yourself type series available in the English-speaking world, and they are, if anything, just more systematic, more thorough, more straightforward than those English-speaking books were at their best. And beyond that, whereas the English-speaking books, well, the older ones just gave you grammar and then translation with no reading passage, and the modern ones give you sort of constructed dialogues, these books begin, like the Langenscheids, with a reading passage that in the earlier texts is shorter and constructed, but by the later passages is much longer and much more literary. So that's another nice feature of this series. I'm very happy to have begun receiving some correspondence from a German colleague, a fellow professor and fellow lover of textbooks and their developmental history, and he informs me that the Italian book in this series is particularly good. I don't have that to show you. The difference between this and the Langenscheid series, I would say, well, for one thing, the answer key is bound into the back of this here rather than being a separate key, separate booklet. And I think the Langenscheids gives you more recording. Everything is recorded on the Langenscheids, all the dialogues, all the reading, whereas with these it's just parts of some of them are, so it's not quite as much. But in other respects, it's quite comparable. This is a good straightforward grammar translation series. The same publishing house, Hüber, had another series in the 1980s and 90s at least. Their communication courses that were entitled Language and Sprechen, to speak, so speak Arabic or speak Romanian or speak another language. And these would probably be of particular interest to you if you like the not grammar translation method of studying, but rather the pattern drill style of studying that was exemplified, say, in the Foreign Service Institute text that I showed you in that review. These books here give you a situational dialogue, and then much more than they focus on any kind of grammatical teaching, just focus on all the different kinds of phrases that you might want to use when it comes to traveling, or when it comes to making introductions, or doing something like that. So you would get a great deal of recorded material with these texts, and in this sort of gray shaded pages here, you're making introductions, and you're introducing people by saying, here, I would like to introduce you, male, I would like to introduce female, to my wife, to my husband. You get every variation on the theme for doing that. So I personally find this to be kind of drill to be rather boring and overkill, but if you like this kind of method, this is a good variety to know about to do that. For another totally different style of studying, a different publishing house, German publishing house, Klett, has these thematic, basic, and build-up vocabulary guides to the 5,000 most common core vocabulary words in a given language, and they are organized very nicely by theme. So you get the human body and health and medicine and dress and the like. You get full sample sentences for most of them as well. So that's why these books for 5,000 words are quite intensive, and they're well selected, and they go nicely to sort of compare them with each other. As a matter of fact, I myself am the compiler of an English, French, Spanish, German dictionary, and I used these books here as when I began compiling to sort of compare and contrast the 5,000 or so most important common words in these languages. The somewhat older series here that I have for their Latin also is nice, and kind of scholarly way, describing at the beginning very much the theory of how many words you need to know, what the core vocabulary consists of, also telling you exactly how to study these kind of vocabulary lists, and making a sort of set of cards to review them, and breaking down things by theme, by year, and the like. So if you like to study vocabulary lists, if you like to study systematically word lists and get an idea, this Klett series is very good to have. And then finally, and see I'm running out of time, maybe one more thing. At the end of my Buska review, I showed you some other German academic presses that specialized in African-style materials. The firm of Dr. Ludwig Reichert Verlag in Wiesbaden has some Middle Eastern materials. I have this good Kurdish textbook that they put out, and at the end of these 2 volumes of that, we can see that they have a great number of things that you can find available for Iranian and Arabic studies. So just a small sample of some other German language resources that you might want to consider.